Welcome back to the Bearcat Tip-Off Talk podcast presented by Donahue Accounting Services. For friendly expert tax advice whenever you need it, come to Donahue Accounting Services. A leading accounting firm in Cincinnati, Ohio, our top-notch accountants strive to help you resolve all your financial and tax issues. Call Donahue Accounting Services today for a free consultation at 513-528-3982 or visit online at donahueaccountingservice.com. I'm your host, Alex Meacham, former Bearcat basketball player from 1997 to 1999 under the Hall of Fame coach, Bob Huggins.
And I'm Neil Meyer with the Front Office News.
I'm JT Smith, editor-in-chief of the Front Office News.
All right, fellas, we are back. Per, I believe it was JT's request. I'm in the sunglasses. I'm wearing the shades, JT and Neil, until we win a Big 12 game. I got the hoodie and the shades on. What do you think?
Hey, it's perfect, man, actually, for what's going on. Needed shades, man.
You got the Cincinnati logo in the background like you really are Mr. Worldwide, Big Z.
You feel me? Oh, JT put the hoodie up?
Put the hoodie up, man.
Yeah, we gotta get some kind of mojo going so this team could win.
Yeah, man, we gotta get the hoodie.
Hey, JT, you see how he's got the Cincinnati logo back there with the shades and the hoodie up? He really is Mr. Worldwide. Mr. Worldwide.
I'm gonna slap you, Neil. I'm gonna slap you. Hey, I'm gonna drive over to Delhi and wop. Oh, hey, exciting news. We potentially could be bringing on 2 more sponsors to the podcast. We'll speak it into existence. We got some meetings this week.
Right.
Hey, we must be doing something, right?
Yeah, for sure. Not for sure, man. The pod's legit, man. We gotta get some dubs.
I know. Hey, winning always helps the numbers too.
No, for sure.
It's one of those things where when the Bearcats are playing well, people definitely tune in. And sometimes when they're playing bad, they love to tune in just to get our thoughts on, like, what the hell's going on? What do we need to do to fix this? And they just want to hear people rant.
Yeah, for sure. I want people to be happy, man.
Yeah.
It's happier times when the Bearcats are winning, man.
No question. Now let's jump right into it. The Bearcats are currently 10-5 after losing to Kansas 40-54. Man, it hurts to say 40.
40.
GCL score right there.
Yeah, it is.
Moeller Elder.
Yeah, for sure. That's definitely St. X Moeller score.
Yeah, right. JT, thoughts on the Bearcats' performance?
All right, it's a 2-parter for me. I love the energy that they started out with, even like pretty much the whole game. The energy, effort was there. Shot making. And I thought some of their actions were better. I thought they ran it with more purpose.
Mm-hmm.
I think one thing they have that has to change for them. I think the way they're guarding Jizzle, I think Aziz has to hard screen. He's slipping too much. He's not getting enough of his body on the defender. I don't think that is helping the offense get into flow. I think that's one of the key small things that I'm seeing. That he's not getting enough body on whoever he's supposed to be picking because he's slipping, and teams are stopping the alley-oop, and they know he's not going to shoot a jump shot, so that slip isn't effective. You get what I'm saying? You think that's valid?
Good point. I didn't see that or think about that.
Yeah, because it's like he has to get somebody where he's to turn him, and he's not because he's slipping. And I think that's one of the things that's making Jizzle. I mean, Jizzle has to be more aggressive turning that corner, but I think that's one of the things that's making him step out wider. You know what I mean? Besides putting pressure on the basket, I think they gotta kind of address that. It's like kind of one of the one things I've been noticing in the last few games, and I really noticed it a lot against Kansas. Like it just kept. I don't know why it just kept popping up in my head, but it just was like, man, he has to. They got to do that. Because everybody's playing the alley-oop. They know he's not going to slip and shoot a jump shot. So, and if he does, they're going to shake his hand even if he makes like 4 or 5 in a row, right? That's just not his game. So, I don't know. It might work more with like AP in there if he's slipping without not doing a hard screen. Yeah. But, yeah, man, They scored 15 points in the second half, man. I mean, if you told me they were going to hold Kansas to under 55 points, you would think that's a Bearcats upset win, right?
It's a win at home.
Hey,
No
At
doubt.
home?
also the lowest amount of points that a Bill self-coached team has scored during his tenure at Kansas.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Oh, he just breaking all kind of crazy records. I mean, we just gotta, man. It was just bad. Like after the dunk, man. After the missed dunk, it was just like as he was falling after going Grant Hill drink Sprite. Remember that commercial?
I do.
He went Grant Hill drink Sprite, and it was like as he was falling, like just all the energy was just leaving out of the stadium. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Because you know, if he makes that dunk, you're down one. The crowd's going crazy because they're battling with a top 15 team with super pedigree. He misses the dunk, they come down and score. They're down 5, and then just after that, they couldn't score. I mean, I think they hit a Josh Reed. The last score after that, I think, was the Josh Reed 3. I think with like a minute left or something.
Hey, Josh Reed played well.
He did.
Played very well.
He did. He actually did. Yeah, that's very valid. So I thought AP, besides the missed dunk, I thought he played real well. I thought he played with physicality. Thought he brought something to the table. The bench showed a little life. Saw a different bench rotation. So yeah, man, it's gonna be interesting, man. Because like, is this like going to be the new rotation, you know, against Colorado, or is it going to be a mixture of somebody else getting in? You know, we saw no Betsy or Hickman. You know,
Let's deal with Betsy. Any reports on that? Was he
no
hurt?
injury? No injuries. I think they think he's in a slump.
And then Wes Miller said Connor's still dealing with the kind of foot injury and a couple other minor things that they're trying to get him back to the Connor Hickman that was before the season. So they're just trying to get him healthy. That's kind of what that aspect was. So sounds like he's just still a little banged up.
Yeah.
Yep. Neil, let's jump into your thoughts. Make some sense of all this, Neil.
Man, I wish I could. I mean, I thought they did a great job at containing Kansas. I thought the first half, what Cincinnati did the first half was what they needed to do in order to put themselves in position to win this game, and that was attack and get downhill and attack. I mean, 18 of your first 25 first half points come in the paint. And then the second half, you kind of shy away from that aspect, and you only get 6 points in the paint the second half. Now, even then, you only finished with just 15 points in the second half. I think they shot like a combined like 22% from the field in the second half. It's not going to win you many games, to say the least. Yeah, second half, they shot 35% from the field and went 0 of 12 from behind the arc. Well, Kansas went 0 for 12 from the field. Cincinnati shot 21.43% from the field and went 2 of 13 from behind the arc in the second half. That's not going to win you many games, especially in a game like this one with the top 15 team at home. Just 3 of 22 from behind the three-point arc. Only 2 free throws taken in this one for Cincinnati. So overall, there's a lot of things to take away. I mean, obviously, you want to see the Cincinnati team find a way to attack the ball and get downhill and attack. I think that's the clear gimme of this one. But what I would have loved to see them do was, I was talking to JT about this during the game, they had Hunter Dickinson worn out very early in the first half to where they could have pushed the tempo a little bit more and probably found themselves in position to be up at halftime by a significant amount if they pushed it a little bit more. I mean, they were up 25-24 at halftime. I mean, Kansas got sloppy with the ball towards the end of the first half. They were kind of lackadaisical on defense. Thought they could have probably opened the floodgates a little bit there, had plenty of opportunities. But overall, just things weren't falling. I mean, that lid on that basket right now for Cincinnati is probably about 3 times the size of the rim because nothing seems to be falling for Cincinnati. But on top of it, 3 of 24 between guys like Simas Lukosius, Dede Thomas, and Jizzle James. Something has to be figured out here soon, to say the least, because those are 2 of your top 3 scorers. And I mean, Simas went 1 for 10. Jizzle James went 2 for 11, if I remember right. Off the top of my head, let me double check that one. But on top of it, Cincinnati has to find a way to get their guys scoring. Jizzle James went 1 for 6 in this one, went 2 for 11 in a game prior. So on top of it, I mean, just have to find ways to put the ball in the hole, simply. I mean, I thought that
Hey, listen. I think I want to touch on something as you say that. I think right now for some of the guys, it's so very mental because we know the time that Jizzle puts into his craft. We know how much he works at his game pre and post games, right?
Yeah.
And it's in his head. I think there was a time during the game, I can't remember when it was, where he kind of was near the basket and like looked at it and then eventually shot it. He was real close and he missed it. I don't know if you remember that, JT. I can't remember what part of the game.
Dang, I can't. I'm drawing a blank on it.
And it was the guy I took to the game. I think you know him, JT, Brandon Robinson.
Yeah.
B. Robbie's the head coach at Finneytown High School. And, B. Rob's, he played the game at Finneytown. He's been around a long time. And he said to me, he said, oh, that's in his head. Because Jizzle makes that shot, right?
Yeah.
There were a lot of bread and butter shots that Jizzle just, and it's in his head playing.
Yeah, for sure.
And how he gets that out of his head, I don't know, because I don't personally know what, drives the kid in some ways, like what mentally, makes him go. But it's mental. He's got to get out of his head.
Yeah, 100%. I think it is.
It's a good thing you mentioned that too, Meach, because he did have his private trainer in Cincinnati and went through a warm-up, an extensive pregame warm-up with his trainer about 3.5 hours before the game on Saturday. So,
yeah,
I mean, I kind of watched the whole workout since I got to Fifth Third Arena early because of the snow. Didn't know what the roads were like, so we got there early. But we watched him go through that workout. I mean, everything was mid-range floaters, kind of those mid-range jumpers. And then he was knocking them down then in the warm-up, so it's just translating to the game. That's what it was. It's just a confidence thing for Cincinnati, and especially Jizzle James right now. I think that's the biggest thing. It's just the confidence thing. But once this team gets going, the lid's going to come off eventually. And Wes Miller even said that. Once that lid comes off, could open up a whole lot of different things for Cincinnati, but it's just a matter of when the lid will come off.
Well, you mentioned this before. Like CMOS has 2 points, and I don't know the last, or we'll just take Big 12 as the sample size. How many points?
Well, Big 12, CMOS was averaging 15 points per game in non-conference play, and heading into Kansas, he was averaging just 6 in Big 12 play.
In Big 12 play, 6. Just that's not going to cut it. And I don't think so. Like with Jizzle, I see it being a mental thing.
Mm-hmm.
I think with CMOS, part of it may be mental, and part of it might be, just getting to some like more comfortable shots. I think him mixing some things up a little bit more. And I know I could tell he was trying, to do that. I think Dylan was our leading scorer. I think he had like 10.
Yeah.
Might have the stats up, but that's just not, I mean, we're not going to win basketball games with that. Not with Dylan at 10, CMOS at 2, whatever Jizzle had, I don't even remember.
Yeah.
Not good enough, JT.
Not at all, man. Yeah, I think he had 3. I mean, it's like, I think Dan had 9. So it's like, yeah, it just was one of those ones, man. I was saying if they're going to win this game, they needed 4 in double digits. And I think they got it. I mean, for us this season, they're going to win games. They need 4 in double digits at least.
Yeah.
And, you're not beating much anybody scoring 40.
And I think, too, on top of this game now, I've rewatched the game now. I don't know if you guys rewatched the game or what you guys saw live. I know me and JT talked about it. Did it seem like Dan Skillings just was not able to get around to any screen that Hunter Dickinson set? Like, I don't know if he was just running into the screen or he was failing to get over and under any screen, which resulted in a whole bunch of easy buckets for Kansas, which obviously Hunter Dickinson's 7'3". It's going to be hard to get around the screen with a guy that size. But it just seemed like Dan was chasing all night or all afternoon Saturday. Now, did it look like that to you guys too a little bit, that he was getting beat on the screens?
JT, I'll let you take this, but I just want to say real quick. Even Brandon Robinson, the coach, was sitting next to me. He was running into a lot of screens.
Yeah,
he was running right into him.
Yeah, like square into him. Yeah. He got to either go under or get through. He try to get, because he was getting caught flush. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And at that level, you've got to read those. first of all, you got to know who you're guarding.
Yeah.
You go under. If you go under and he's a shooter, you're dead in the water.
Yeah.
So I think he's got to make some adjustments with that. And I'm glad you brought that point up, Neil. You know what? You did something that I never do, and that's watch a game twice, man. I've always struggled with that because I'd spend 4 hours rewinding it, like watching it, like rewinding every little thing of it. I'll just watch it once and I'm done. Otherwise, I'll drive myself.
And I think I needed to watch it twice too to kind of see that, because I questioned myself on top of it after the game. I was like, was he really like failing to get around it, or was he running right into it? Yeah. And then once you rewatch it back, you see that. But definitely after rewatching it, you can kind of see on the replay and everything, after seeing it live and watching the replay, Cincinnati's energy got sucked out of it after the missed dunk from AP. It was
but it definitely did.
It went from a 1-point swing to potentially having the crowd behind you to you're down 6 instantly.
Yeah.
I how the game was going, I knew it was going to do that, and I was like, damn. You know what I mean? Like, I knew it was going to happen, man. It came down and scored like immediately. Like, that might have been like the fastest like possession Kansas had.
Yeah. I didn't have, it was weird. Like I don't know, the game itself seemed really weird to me. I don't know how you guys, where you were sitting, but the energy just all around just seemed real. I mean, Arizona, I thought there was like a ton of energy in the building.
Yeah.
I feel that energy versus Kansas. And I don't know, man, as well as we played defensively, and Neil, the stats you bring up and the Bill Self era, like this is the low. I mean, defensively, we were doing some great stuff in stretches, but at the end of the day, I mean, you got to score some buckets to get the crowd going. You go on these runs, but then we had a point second half where energy was sucked out of the place.
Yeah.
It was just, I don't know, man. It's like, we're not winning this game. I said it twice when I was sitting there. We're not winning this game.
Yeah, it was like 2 or 3 plays that were like, I think like CMOS had a 3 that went in and out. It was like Day had that floater off the backboard that like hit every part of the rim and went out. I think did AP have a layup that might have went in and out? Like a spin move? Like he had a spin move, it was a good move, and rolled out.
On the left side of the paint on the far end where he had the spin move. It was a good
look. It was before the missed dunk.
Shot it a little.
It was a nice move. It was like a real aggressive move. And
he shot too strong, and it banked, hit the rim, backboard again, and fell out.
Yeah. It's like that, and then the dunk. I mean, when that dunk happened, it was just not happening.
What in the world? Like when that happened, Brandon and I like looked at each other like, what? Like, how did that just happen?
Because we seen the pass, I was like, oh snap, and the crowd was ready. Like, I think the crowd was ready to it was ready to just like the top was the lid was coming off, and bro, he missed that dunk. We just looked at each other like, what? What's going on here? Like, because the thing is, like, even if he just would have just did a soft dunk, because nobody, like, the pass, he was open. Like, I don't know, it was like
wide open on the dunk.
It was like kind of how like like a coach. I saw kind of like it was like watching little kids. That the situation, man, it was crazy.
I kind of saw a couple pictures from our photographer friends, and I mean, he just short armed the dunk, like wide open, but he just stuffed by the rim basically.
But he tried to, like, when he dunked it, he like pumped.
He
like,
caught
he
it
went like
here and tried to hammer it home from like 90 degrees instead of going up and over.
He should have just went with just the regular.
Should have two-handed it.
Yeah, but I mean, nobody was scoring. But I just think that one might have been a play that changed. I would have liked to see how the game ended if he made that dunk. How about that? You know how like you got an alternate ending,
right?
Like an alternate ending snap, like this.
Yep. Well, like hey, like we've said before, the beauty of the Big 12, you turn around, you got to play another big game.
Yeah, for sure.
Right.
Yeah, and you can't cry and mope about it. That's for damn sure.
Yeah, you gotta just keep pushing through. And this Wednesday at 9 p.m., the Bearcats take on Colorado in Boulder. Quick question: is Deion? And this is a quick answer. You know where I'm going with this. Is Deion Sanders leaving for the NFL? Yes or no? JT?
No.
Neil?
You're crazy. I think he does.
I'm say yes. I say he's gone.
Okay.
I think I'll tell you why real quick. I
All
think
right.
he's going to try to get a job in the NFL, work that wiggle room to get his son on the team that he's coaching at. Eventually.
I can see
Right.
that.
I mean, I like that because we were talking about that earlier, Meach. If you real quick on that situation, if he goes to Dallas, they have the number 12 pick in the draft. Who has number 2? Cleveland. They send a trade realistically. Cowboys ship off Dak to Cleveland. You get the number 2 overall pick, and boom, you end up with Shadur. Just saying.
Okay. Neil with the Mel Kiper
No.
breakdown. Neil Kiper.
I mean, it's a logical answer. He's going to end up with either, if he goes that route, he's going to end up with his son, or he's going to get Travis.
Well, so let me say this real quick. I don't want to make this a Deion thing, but you know, I said this initially. I still feel this way. I know there are a large group of Bearcat fans that totally disagree with me, but I never wanted. I was one of the people that sat in the camp that I did not want Deion to come to the University of Cincinnati. Now, I think behind the scenes it was never going to happen, but I did not want him to be the coach of the University of Cincinnati's football program because I felt like him coming here would have been a short stay. I don't think it would have been a very long tenure here. And people are like, well, I'm cool with that. Place would be rocking. You're selling out tickets. And if he leaves, the next person. But if he leaves, the energy's gone. People were coming because of Deion. All these kids are going to jump in the portal. I mean, depending on who takes the job, but I just didn't like that 1 or 2 year rental thing. JT,
I ain't gonna lie.
you wanted Deion.
If he could have came here and got it jumping, like how he got it in Colorado, I'll take it. I'll take the 2 years.
But then when he leaves, we're right back in the same spot.
Man,
And then you're going to have to bring in a coach who's going to have to sit there and think of the questions that are looming. Oh, well, how do I be the successor to Deion Sanders kind of thing? And if he fails, then he's like, oh, shoot.
I'm being selfish. Selfish. You know how much extra content we have off that if Deion was here? I'm sorry. Like, no slight to the current coach, you know what I mean? But
no, you mean slight to the current coach. Now listen.
Nah, well, no slight, man. I'm just saying it's just a different animal. But I mean,
you
get
get
what
that.
you're saying. I know what you're saying though.
Right. It's just so you're cool with that quick rental, and then, but that next person.
You see, we be having quick rentals anyways. I mean, we get more than 2 years, but I'm just saying, like, we don't. I mean, don't nobody just stay camp. You know what I mean? It's not like the basketball program where people are trying to stay.
That's a good point.
That's how I look at it.
Okay, I can rock with that. You're listening to the Bearcat Tip-Off Talk podcast presented by Donahue Accounting Services. Now let's jump into the Big O segment, sponsored by Smart Dog Solutions. In this segment, we cover players to watch and key matchups. JT, let's see if you can get this one right. Bearcats, who do we need to look out for?
Dog, I'm in a slump. UC save me, man. Come on now. Come on.
You like UC's offense. You are in a slump, bro.
Yeah. After conference play then came, I'm out here Oprah and I'm out here Brick City. But I'm out here in the dumps. But anyways, we gonna start anew. We're gonna do a 180, man. Okay. Get out of the slums. Let's get back into the in-house. You know what I'm saying? So Dan's been the most consistent person in the Big 12 play. So we go on the road at 0-4. They got to stamp their flag somewhere. Why not get a dub in Colorado? I feel like Dan scores 15 and 18 points. Give me about 5 to 6 rebounds, couple steals, maybe a block or two. And then I think the Bearcats, everybody else will kind of ride the wave, and we'll score some. We're scoring more than 40 against Colorado. Got to on the road. I think Dan is the person that leads the way.
Okay. Neil, touch on your Bearcat player in Colorado.
Yeah, so for Cincinnati, I think you can go 1 or 2 guys. I know we talked about this beforehand. I'm looking at Aziz Bandego or Dylan Mitchell in this one. Aziz Bandego on the glass aspect of this thing, where you can really affect the game on the rebounding, because this is a Colorado team that really struggles to rebound the basketball. I mean, you're looking down at their stats right now. they're only averaging 36 rebounds a game. So on top of it,
Neil, what did we get against Kansas? Were we in the 40s?
44.
44. Okay.
So you had 44 versus Kansas, and you still got out-rebounded, matter of fact. So think about that aspect.
What did Kansas have?
46.
Damn. Okay.
Yep. Hunter Dickinson had 14 of those. So
damn.
They still got out-rebounded versus Kansas, but for Colorado, you see that their leading rebounder, if you look at their stats, is a guy who's 6'9" and Trevor Baskin. He's averaging 6.2 points a game, but you have, for Colorado, their starting center, Elijah Malone, is only averaging 3 rebounds a game at 6'11". If that's your starting center and he's only averaging 3 rebounds at 6'11", I think this is a game where Aziz Bandaogo could make a very good impact in that aspect, and Dylan Mitchell as well. So I'm looking for those two guys to kind of be the difference maker on the glass for Cincinnati. Now for Colorado, it's going to be all about finding ways to really slow down veteran point guard Julian Hammond, the team's leading scorer, 14 points per game, very good shooter, the team's best three-point shooter outside of RJ Smith, 42% from behind the arc, a 47% field goal shooter. Him and RJ Smith are your two scorers for Colorado. Those guys can really light it up in a flurry. But then in the front court, I think we talk about Aziz Bandaogo and Dylan Mitchell on the likes of Elijah Malone. I like that matchup as well for Cincinnati.
What was that one kid's name you mentioned? Was it Baskin?
Trevor Baskin.
Okay. Wonder if he's related to Carol Baskin from you got JT. Do you remember? Do you know who Carol Baskin is, Neil, from Tiger King? You remember
Tiger King? When they call Tiger King?
Yeah. What was it called?
Yeah,
Big Cat Rescue? Wasn't that the business she owned?
I forgot what it was called.
I think it was called Big Cat Rescue. Carol Baskin. Wasn't there a song?
Baskin.
Didn't she have somebody have a song about her?
I think so.
I think she was in a song, yeah.
That show had that little run that was just like it had the country in a headlock.
Yeah, it did for sure. Like that, Tiger King was great. It was called Tiger King, wasn't it?
Yeah. Tiger King.
It was. Yeah, that show was like you couldn't like. It was so crazy you just couldn't stop watching.
It was like this is a
definitely had a country in the headlock.
What? I just go show you some people. But I do wonder if he's related to Carol Baskin. That would be fascinating if she is. So, Neil, you ready?
Yes, sir.
You know what time it is. Neil, hit him. Oh, hey.
Name game, baby.
That's like the Delhi down the way. I see you. All right, Neil. Let's jump right into it. The Neil game. The Neil game. The name game with Neil Meyer. The Neil game. That's what I'm gonna call it. The name game with Neil Meyer. This is where we have Neil take a look at the opposing team's roster and try to pronounce the names of these players. Now, some of the names are they're just tough to pronounce, wild, a little different. Some of them are just fun and very unique. So let's jump into Colorado. Let's start, Neil, with number 7.
Number 7 for Colorado is Sebastian Rancic.
That wasn't too bad. Rancic? Rancic. All right. Now, right after that, I think JT will like this one. Number 8.
Number 8 is Bearcat Dak.
Yeah, that Bearcat.
Which is interesting looking down at this roster, pronouncing his name, Meach. Think about it. 6'11", 185 pounds.
Dang.
And this is a guy, and he's playing significant minutes, playing 225 minutes on the season. That's an interesting kind of weight difference there for a guy that's 6'11".
He's pretty thin. I mean, Aziz is thin, but that guy's pretty thin. Number 15.
Number 15 for Colorado is Felix Kosaras.
Say it again. Last name again?
Felix Kosaras.
Yeah, that's pretty good. I thought it was going to be tougher than that. Number 23.
Number 23 is Andre Yakimovsky.
Yeah, it's not too bad, JT.
Yeah, ain't too bad, man.
Yeah, I think you practiced before you got to that. That's pretty good. Hey, for you, JT, on the Colorado staff is one of the assistant coaches,
All right, I'm going there.
former great
Oh, snap. Danny Manning.
Danny Manning. Neil, you know who Danny Manning is?
Think he's a little too old out of my time, Meach. I gotta look him up real quick.
Yeah. Former, I believe he was a McDonald's All-American, went to Kansas.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. McDonald's All-American.
Kansas.
I think the year he played a McDonald's All-American game, that was the game that was played. Look this up, Neil, at the Forum in LA, if I'm not mistaken. Because no, I might be wrong on that. Danny Manning, there was a chance, JT, Danny Manning was going to be a Bearcat.
For real?
It was his first choice.
What happened?
I think Kansas dropped the bag off. Dropped the bag.
Kansas did?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
That's the rumor. I don't know Danny Manning, never talked to him, but that was the rumor amongst some Bearcats from back in the day that Danny Manning was gonna. What year did he graduate high school, Neil?
That is a good question.
You have that?
Let's look it up real quick.
I'm trying because Danny Manning. I'm taking off my sunglasses for this. Danny Manning was a program game changer.
Oh, for sure.
No question about it. So you look at a Danny Manning coming to the Bearcats.
Yeah, that would be crazy.
That would have brought in other guys.
100%.
He led Kansas to the NCAA title as a senior in 1998. So he graduated in 1994.
1994.
Or 1984.
Oh, yeah, it couldn't have been 1994.
Yeah, 84.
I'm going to say 1984.
1984.
Okay. So the McDonald's All-American, I forget. There was one of those McDonald's All-Americans from back in the day that was like legendary. I think it was the one at the Forum. They said it was like the best collection of like players. Yeah, like all in one. Because McDonald's All-American, it's interesting. There's like a stat out of like, I can't remember I don't know if they used a sample of like 10 or the last 15 years of where are they now. Have you ever seen it, JT?
You know, it's crazy that you just said that show, because on our show tonight with David Fulcher, he mentioned that exact same show in a reference talking about a former player or coach. He's like, man, have you seen that show? It's like, where are they now? That's crazy.
Well, I mean, if you look at a lot of McDonald's All-Americans from the last, I don't know if it was 10 to 15 years, there are so many of them that never panned out.
For real?
Oh, yeah. It's the statistics, like, it's low-key alarming. It's
For
like,
real?
Yeah. These are supposed, I mean.
Because it's the top 24, right?
Yeah. It's your creme de la creme. Yeah. I gotta find that article.
Yeah, I gotta see that because for a minute it was just like when they were there, you knew like if it was 12, normally 8 of them were going to be in the league, and probably 4 of them are going to be all-stars each team.
Doubt.
You know what I mean?
No doubt. But you know what?
So that's crazy. I need to definitely check that out. I didn't know that.
But this goes back to, I think, recruiting, right? So when you look at coaches that recruit certain players, yes, it's all, like sexy to get a 5-star McDonald's All-American top player. However, there are so many guys that do not make it to a 5-star McDonald's All-American. Man, that could really impact your program. Look at SK. Look at Gary Clark, right? I mean, I'm mentioning guys, like just take those two alone. I don't even know what star those guys were. They weren't close to being McDonald's All-Americans.
No, for sure.
And like we talked about before, SK redshirts his freshman year.
Yeah.
I don't think Gary Clark was on many people's radar as coming in as this prolific guy.
No.
right?
So
And both them leave as, I mean, they're looked at as royalty at the University of
yeah,
Cincinnati. So I think it's about finding that right fit.
yeah. Question. I know it's off topic per se, on topic but off topic. Like with the portal, like I don't think it'll be as many Gary Clark SK stories. Do you think that? Do
Oh,
you
I
think
see
that will happen?
because they're not going to be at one school for
Yeah,
a longer period.
yeah,
That's a good point. Yeah, that's I didn't think about it like that. Yeah, it's just more back to the word rentals. I mean,
yeah,
in a lot of ways. Well, you look at okay. I brought up Miami Oxford before in the past, and Travis Steele, and he's doing a great job. Miami's on a 6-game winning streak right
yeah,
now. Yeah, they're like averaging 80 points a game. One of the hottest teams around right now. And a good friend with Travis Steele, great human being. And he's like, look, when I get to Miami, I'm going to recruit the portal, and I'm going to get old, and I'm going to stay old. So he
yeah,
wants guys that, let's say a kid goes to Michigan and it doesn't pan out at Michigan, does play, get some heavy miles there, but it just doesn't work out there. Maybe he drops to a Miami.
yeah,
Boom. Now he's got a veteran guy. He gets old, guy with experience. That's what he's looking for.
yeah.
Yeah. JT, I think it's going to be interesting to see moving forward. Will they make any changes to the portal? I don't know.
I feel like they. All right, so I don't mind the kids getting paid at all, at all. But I think they have to almost damn near. And if the coach mess up, that's on the coach. Players mess up, it's on the player. You know what I mean? I think like unless the coach leaves or gets fired, I feel like they kind of almost have to. I think they got to stay 2 years.
Yep.
Because
So you're saying if you're talking about if they start there,
yeah,
you have to be there for if I
come in there like I get recruited, boom, it's my first stop. I feel like 2 years, unless like the coach leaves or something super drastic. I think 2 years, because then that gives 2 years. Then once you transfer out, it's kind of free fall. But I feel like you should have 2 years of, hey, I'm staying here, because then that's when you actually can develop. Even if you're at a lower school, if you stay there for 2 years, if you get it cracking for 2 years, then you should be able to transfer up. You know what I mean? How you want to, or you might want to stay. I mean, some people aren't going to stay at lower schools, but you might want to stay there and just keep balling.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? See if it's a little bit of NIL, and that's cool, but I don't know.
Yeah, man, that's fascinating.
What you think about that?
Well, it's fascinating because if you let's say you take what you just said. Just imagine if you rewind the tape and the current structure as is, you were to put that in place back during the middle portion of Huggs's coaching era. Kenyon Martin's gone.
100%.
Kenyon Martin wouldn't have developed into a 4-year player. Kenyon was my roommate on the road. I can tell you he was ready to go a lot of times, but the system wouldn't let him go in a way.
Yeah.
Right? Look at Jason Maxiell.
Yep.
Look at SK. You tell SK he's going to redshirt?
Yeah.
Bro.
Yep. He going to finish that out. Then you got to think about like Trey Scott. Trey Scott didn't really blow up until junior year, right?
Yeah.
He was behind. So like we don't get the double Trey Scott guy, right? Because he's gonna go somewhere else. It's like, all right, I know I can play here, and I'm gone. Which I understand, I respect it, but I just think like how we revere and stuff and look at college basketball and football, it's not gonna be the same. You know what I mean? It's gonna be different, man. Because I mean, it's gonna be the special kids that stay, and it's gonna be some that dip because somebody's offering them double.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I understand it. But.
You know what we need to do? Let's pause this. No, and I mean I don't mean pauses.
I know what you're saying. Yeah, for sure.
Pause this conversation, and I think maybe at the end of the season we should have a discussion on NIL and the portal. Moving forward, how it impacts the Bearcats.
It's going to get crazy, too, in the portal aspect of things and NIL, because I don't know if you guys seen, but the new house rule, it's going to open up a lot of things for the NIL. Like you're seeing teams and universities can like cut ties with their NIL collectives because of the new rule that's getting ready to come out. So I mean, where the schools will be directly able to pay the players.
Yeah.
So
Well, let's pause this conversation because
Yeah.
I know we got to jump into some more stuff here with this. Let's
Yeah.
pause this at the end of the season. Let's do a pod on this and maybe even bring in a couple people that can help us, make sense of all this and where the rule changes are starting to go. The Big O segment is sponsored by Smart Dog Solutions. And just to kind of keep it short, to go back to players to watch, I'm going to go with Jizzle James. I really want to see Jizzle James get going here, man. He's got to get out of this slump and help lead this Bearcat basketball team. The Big O segment is sponsored by Smart Dog Solutions. Do you have a business that needs better inventory control, production management, or improved accounting control? Outgrown QuickBooks or can't afford NetSuite? Give loyal Bearcat grads Doug and Kathy Jacobs at Smart Dog Solutions a call. They've been in your position and will love to help solve your problems. They can be contacted at 513-739-9473 or online at smartdog-solutions.com. You're listening to the Bearcat Tip-Off Talk podcast presented by Donahue Accounting Services. The Kenyon segment is sponsored by Greg Hooden at Beachmont Toyota. This is where we cover the keys to the games. JT, what do the Bearcats need to do to win?
All right. So for everybody that watched the Bearcats play against Kansas on Saturday, what was the final score? 40. Scored 40 points. So this is kind of like I don't even know. It's kind of like a pod funeral. So I feel like they got to score, man. I don't care how they score. I don't care if they're putting 6 people on the floor. I don't care if they're tripping people. Something like I don't know, man. We got to get anybody got like an AI system that can make somebody invisible, like you're passing it and it all just goes in. Like I don't care, man. Can we rig the scoring table? We got to score. I don't care how it looks. I don't care what kind of offensive sets we got to do. Just score the damn ball, man. I mean, scoring 15 points in a half is just it's rough. So yep. I just want to see, can we get 65 points or more and just make a couple threes. I don't even care. Just score, man. I don't even. I'm not.
JT, you think if they score 65 around that, they win at Colorado?
They're on the road, so I think they got to get into the 70s.
Okay.
I think they got to get 70s unless the defense is playing as good as it did against Kansas. But I feel like Colorado is going to be a different animal, and it's at their place. So I think they got to get in the 70s, honestly. 60s might be too short. Okay. I just think, that might not be enough.
Yeah, I'm sitting there too, Meach, on the 70 aspect. They got to score 70 plus in this one. And the reason I say that is Colorado is 8-2 on the season at home. They play very well at home. 60 points won't do you justice on the road.
What's their best win at home, Neil?
Colorado's best win at home. Let's check real quick.
Look up their best win and look at the 2 losses. What did the teams that beat them score to beat them at home? So you said 8-2, right? At home?
Yep, 8-2 at home.
Best home victory.
Oh, that's a good one. Their best home victory is what? Bellarmine, Colorado State.
So they haven't played
anybody good at home.
Okay. The 2 losses were to who?
The 2 losses at home were to Iowa State, which is now the number 2 team in the country.
Yep. Solid.
And then also to West Virginia, which was an 8-point loss over the weekend.
How many points did West Virginia score?
78.
How many points did Iowa State score? You said Iowa State, right?
Yep, Iowa State scored 100.
Damn.
No, that's a different game. Game.
No, they scored 99.
Yeah, but that was in Maui.
Oh, well, okay. Oh, shoot. So they scored 79. They scored 79 at. Oh, they played them twice? That's crazy. I didn't even peep that.
Yeah, they played them twice. Yeah. Iowa State scored 80 in the second one, 79.
Yeah.
Okay. So that gives you a little bit there. So the Bearcats need to be around that range to win. Okay. What are the thoughts you have, Neil?
Yeah, I think for Cincinnati, in order to win this game, you just got to find a way to get downhill and attack. I think that's going to be the biggest key of the game because you can't hit an outside jumper right now to save your life. So might as well try to switch things up. This is a game where Jizzle James could get downhill attack. Day Thomas has been playing very well as of late. Overall, I'm looking for Cincinnati to find a way to get downhill and attack and really alter the game in the paint and around that aspect.
Okay. I agree with you. I'm going to get to some thoughts here on how we can do that. The Kenyon segment is sponsored by Greg Hooden at Beachmont Toyota. All right, so my thoughts, and I've said this before, I think I would like to see us play faster, right? So I think when we get into, and I'd be fascinated to see the statistics on this, when we get into our half court set, at least right now, we're shooting so late in the shot clock and shooting up some tough shots. Agree with that?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would agree.
So my thought process is if you push the pace a little bit, play a little bit faster, you're not shooting those late in the shot clock shots that are tougher. Now you might take a couple bad shots because they're quick, but and I said this on the pod before, if we play a little faster, you get out, you make some shots, you get the crowd going, you get that swag back. Well, especially at home, but obviously on the road, it's going to quiet the crowd. But back again to our depth. I think when you play fast, you do need to play more players. And I'm going to say this over and over. I think one of our major strengths is our depth. And I'd like to see the other guys, get in there because, listen, Josh Reed gave us some good minutes. I didn't have that on my bingo card versus Kansas. He came in and gave us some good minutes. I think CJ
Frederick played really well, too.
He played quite a few minutes, and that's probably because Connor Hickman's hurt. But you never know. A CJ Frederick could get hot from deep. I'd like to see, Tyler's confidence, Betsy get going. So, and listen, if we can get Connor Hickman, back healthy, I know he's been up and down and sick, and then he's had his injuries. There were times where I thought I think was it the Georgia Tech game that Connor Hickman played decently well?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Georgia
he also played well versus Xavier too.
Yeah.
So he can get in there and give some spot minutes that are helpful. And again, I think play fast, use your depth, and hopefully that all kind of comes together. We get that mojo going because listen, fellas, we can all agree on this. You lose that game at Colorado, guys are starting to look left and right, questioning people in the locker room. It just naturally happens. And it could get really ugly. I mean, it could get bad. You start losing that, then who do we play after Colorado? Is it Arizona State?
Arizona State on Saturday.
Arizona State. Is that a home game?
Yep.
Yeah.
Arizona State at home. I think is that an early game, like 2:00 or something like that?
Yeah.
2:00 game.
2:00 in the women play at 6, so it's a doubleheader.
So I think we're in really dangerous territory right here, right now, JT and Neil. Like it could get scary.
Yeah. Starting 0-5. I mean, starting 0-4 is already scary enough.
Yeah.
Starting 0-5, man, it makes this year. I mean, it still is doable. Anything can happen. People make runs, but 0-5, man, it's almost like I feel like you feel the cement drying. You know what I mean? You in the cement right now, but you feel like you can get out. It's a tough. You know what I'm saying? Tough climb, but you go 0-5. It feels like we got the hygiene thing that we were talking about.
No, that you were talking about.
I was talking about. And right now we out here real disrespectful. We ain't taking no showers. We just
JT,
real foul.
JT, hold on. You've had some hilarious takes. I mean, you've had some hilarious little one. The ugly like Master P sneakers. One of my faves that you actually said that on the pod.
Yeah.
The hygiene one, that's up there. That's up there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's up there. One of my favorites. Just want to let you know
Appreciate it. Appreciate it, man. Appreciate it. Masterpiece sneakers, man. You don't want to get like that. Right now, we live in that's how we play. I don't even think we playing in J's. We might be playing in them P's.
that. Hey, Jordan gonna take those shoes back and say you're playing in Masterpiece sneakers. Hey,
Let's go.
the funniest thing ever. I don't know if we talked about this before. I'm sure we did. But do you guys follow Master P on Instagram?
Yeah,
No.
Oh my
I do.
God. Man, that dude is hey, listen, props to him, man. That
Yeah,
dude
for
is
sure.
self-made, start everything from the trunk. Much respect to him. But man, some of those, did you ever see the commercial when he had some new sneakers coming out and he was in his kitchen and the ringer went off in the oven and he was like, I think the sneakers are ready. He opened the oven and he pulled his sneakers out of the oven. Those things were so trash. It was the funniest shit I've ever seen. I said, whoever is filming this, if you're not, how do you hold the camera still, man?
Hey man, that check clearing.
Hey, that check keeps that hand steady, doesn't it?
That check was clearing. He was like, man, he could laugh after the fact. Like that check was clearing. That check was probably legit too. So that person was like, good job, Pete.
Oh, the shoes look great.
Oh man, that's a great. And cut.
I know, right? He didn't keep it real with him at all. He was like, yeah, I think they're great.
Have you ever seen when Master P goes into the grocery stores and sees his cereal?
Yeah, I seen that.
Oh my God.
I seen that.
From time to time, I just go back and look at his Instagram reels.
Nah, P is a national treasure, man. We got to protect P at all costs.
Protect him at all costs. At all costs. The Kenyon segment Keys to the Game was sponsored by Greg Hood and Beachmont Toyota. Come see fellow Bearcat Greg Hood and Beachmont Toyota for all your new Toyota needs, pre-owned and new. Look for Greg Hooden on Instagram and on Twitter at Cincy Greg Hooden. Hooden is spelled Hoodin, or come see Greg Hooden at Beachmont Toyota. Always ready to help our Bearcat family get into a new Toyota. You're listening to the Bearcat Tip-Off Talk podcast presented by Donahue Accounting Services. The Twyman segment is sponsored by Visionary Cleaners. This is where we cover hot topics. All right, fellas, here's the hot topic for today. The Bearcats lose to Kansas. Game's over. Bearcat fans are going through the shake hand line, getting ready to exit the court. The fans, like I haven't heard this in a long time, begin to boo. And it was loud.
Yeah.
I want to get your guys' thoughts on the fans booing. JT, I want to start with you and your impression on why the fans were booing, who they were booing.
Okay. So I don't think they were booing the players per se. It might be more towards the staff, just because they're not winning right now in the conference. I don't think. I mean, it might be booing that they didn't score more so. I don't really think it was because I don't think the effort, it wasn't a lack of effort. You didn't nobody was loafing, nobody quit. So I don't think, if they were, then that's something I didn't read, or that's wrong. If they were booing the young man for effort, even though they get paid now, that's different though. Like it's still college athletes' effort. They should have been getting paid. It's part of the game. Every school, somebody's getting something. So X that out. I just think, going on 4 in the Big 12 after how good they played in non-conference, I think that just was a tipping point. And then I think because of how good they played against somebody like Kansas, I think that's kind of what it was. That's what I think, but I mean that's how I'm looking at it. I think they showed they can play with Kansas, and they just kind of let Kansas off the hook, not being able to score a little bit more.
Neil?
Yeah, honestly, I think the same thing as JT said. I don't think it was towards any of the players in particular. I mean, obviously, fans are going to be upset when you start 0-4 and you lose 2 games at home. That's something Cincinnati basketball is not used to doing, is losing at home. So obviously, you kind of see how that game transpired and the outcome of it. Obviously, people are going to be upset about it. but I don't think they were booing directly at the players. And I mean, I think it's kind of interesting too, because we talk about this. Wes Miller kind of even made a very interesting comment after the game on Saturday when asked about the boos. He basically kind of summed it up and said along the lines of how he basically said that the fans booing, he said, I signed up for this. I'm never going to get upset about fanfare. The people that stick with us, thank you guys. The people that don't, will prove you wrong. So they kind of know like things are coming for Cincinnati, but Wes Miller appreciates the fan support. He always has. He knows what the fans bring to the table and how special it is to play at Fifth Third Arena. But for the people who are always kind of doubting Cincinnati, especially right now in the tough scenario that they're in, where they're 0-4 in Big 12 play, this is the time the program's going to need your fan support all the time. So, yes, you guys might be unhappy now, but it's like the booing towards the players and whatnot. I mean, people have to kind of also reconsider that this is the Big 12. It's night in, night out. You're going to be playing the best of the best. So, kind of have to put that into consideration too. But I don't think the booing was towards any of the players. But it was interesting to hear Wes kind of say that. He was like, we'll prove you wrong.
The Twyman segment is sponsored by Visionary Cleaners. Yeah, so listen, I've got a couple thoughts. So I do agree. I don't think the fans were booing the players, but more maybe Wes and the staff, for the performance. And listen, I was talking to my good friend Rich from Mios, and he had brought up the fact, we were texting, he brought up the fact that, hey, these players are being paid now, which before they weren't being paid, so it was kind of looked at like you don't boo college athletes. I still think you shouldn't boo college athletes, even if they are getting paid a lot. That's me, but I listen, I don't have a problem with fans booing. I think in this case, I think the fans were booing for the wrong reason. And like, for example, if it was lack of effort, like, I don't know if you guys saw, but Indiana played tonight.
Yeah, that was ugly. That was ugly.
And IU, there was no effort. Like, there were times there was no effort. There was guys not running back. I mean, it was they gave up. I could see fans booing for that. And I understand in our city, we're a blue collar town. People work hard. This isn't LA, where it's Hollywood, blah, blah, blah. This is a blue collar town, and you are expected to play hard, work hard. So I get that. And JT, you said this earlier. This team's working hard. It's not a lack of effort. I mean, if you look defensively, we can go over and over on how well they've done this year defensively, and that's a lot of effort. Second half, or Dayton, the Dayton game. I mean, they were locking Dayton up in that first half. Holding, Kansas to what was it, 54 points?
54 points. They ain't hit a 3 in the second half.
I mean, I just think it's just the confidence on the offensive end. And what I don't want to have happen, listen, people can boo, that's their right. But what I don't want to have happen is the booing, the players misinterpret it, and it gets in their head, and it creates another opponent, right? So right now you're playing against, Kansas. Let's just use Kansas again. You're playing against Kansas. That's an opponent. And in some cases, some of the players are dealing with stuff. They're competing against themselves right now, trying to get out. And then they think the fans are against them. You don't want to have them processing that, right? And Neil, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think Dan Skillings put something on his IG story. I think you sent it to us in our text thread. What did he say again?
Yeah, so it was shortly after the game on Saturday. Dan posted on his Instagram story with the picture of the Cincinnati Bearcats logo, and he said, "Stick with us or don't. We really don't care." With the 100 number emoji, he said, We are a great basketball team, and we will keep working hard every day to start showing that again. We appreciate all the support still. Thankful every day to do what I do. Thank the Lord above on the bad days."
And listen, so you don't want players thinking that fans are against them, and I don't think the fans are necessarily against them. But even if you boo, like if I'm playing for the Bearcats and the crowd boos, and let's say I know where they're booing Hugs, that's still my coach. That's my guy.
Yep.
That's my guy, man. And these players love Wes. So now you boo Wes, you're booing their guy, man.
Yeah, facts.
They don't like that.
They don't like that, man. They don't like it. They got to win, but at the same time, it's like it's not a lack of effort. Now, if they're lack of effort, I understand. They can boot a situation, but like you said, you don't want them to be like, now they're defensive or not defensive, but just thinking about other things. I mean, these young men got other stuff to think about too, so they're still students.
Yep.
Got families. People. You'll never know what people are going through. So, end of the day, they might have a sister or somebody that's going through hard times. That's that pressure on there. They might be going through it with their girl. Who knows? Like it's just a lot of stuff. I mean, they're still humans at the end of the day, which a lot of people gotta understand it. Like they're people that are booing are human. The players and coaches are human too. You don't know what's going on. They have family members going through stuff. So I'm just speaking. You got to have some kind of empathy, somewhere. I understand why Bearcats fans are can have some anger issues per se, but it's not a lack of effort. That's what you can. No matter what, I can clearly say that it's not because these young men don't care. It's not going their way right now.
Yep. And they could easily get it turned around, man. And just imagine if this team, we start off currently right now 0-5 in conference play, right? So let's actually flip that. Imagine we started 5-0 in conference play, and everybody in Bearcat Nation's happy, right? And then you go on and lose your next 5 games. Everybody's jumping ship, right? So I'm looking at it as we're 0-5. Imagine if we go on a 5-game winning streak.
Oh, for sure. It's like, what if they're 0-4 now? What say against Colorado, they started rolling. They go on a 4, and they next 4 games they win all 4. Now at 4-4, people are going to start to believe again.
Yep.
So I hope that's what happens, and they're and West can say, "Hey, told y'all, just give us some time," right? So I'm hoping that's what happens. That'd be great. Even if they're 3-5, it gives you in the next 4 games. I'm looking at this season in a 4-game interval, so they can go 3-1, 4-0. Then everybody's kind of like, okay, you can breathe. Everything can kind of work out still. It might not work out to the records we thought at the beginning, when we on the pod, but still some hope, man. This team is too good to just not win in the Big 12 or just be a bottom barrel team in this conference. It's just a good conference.
Yep. And all you can do is concentrate on the game at hand, and that's versus Colorado. They go out and win Colorado and just keep chipping away at it.
Yep.
The Twyman segment is sponsored by Visionary Cleaners. Visionary Cleaners is a locally owned company by former Bearcat student athletes. They specialize in high-quality commercial cleaning of businesses, apartments, and pre- and post-construction cleans. They can be reached at 513-388-7816 or contacted online at visionarycleaners.com. Fellas, this concludes another great podcast. Thanks to all of our sponsors, Donahue Accounting Services, Smart Dog Solutions, Greg Hooden at Beachmont Toyota, and Visionary Cleaners. You're listening to the Bearcat Tip-Off Talk podcast presented by Donahue Accounting Services. For friendly expert tax advice whenever you need it, come to Donahue Accounting Services, a leading accounting firm in Cincinnati, Ohio. Our top-notch accountants strive to help you resolve all your financial and tax issues. Call Donahue Accounting Services today for a free consultation at 513-528-3982 or visit online at DonahueAccountingService.com. Thanks for listening to another episode of the Bearcat Tip-Off Talk podcast presented by Donahue Accounting Services. Go Bearcats.